Hey, how are you, Dinesh? How are you?
Hello, Professor. How are you?
Yeah, Dinesh. How are you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Professor.
Okay, great. So, are you getting the stuff being covered in the class?
Sorry, Professor. I can't hear
Are
you.
you getting the material being covered in the class?
Oh, yes, Professor. I have. I have tried
Okay,
the stuffs.
okay, good, 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 good. So, these days we are doing coding and learning
Yes,
this
sir.
thing that how do we have a good kind, good class? What are the basic concepts of object-oriented development, right?
Yes, yes, Prof.
And programming and stuff like that. Hey, Alan Teja, good afternoon. How's going? Good to see you.
I'm good, sir. Thank you. How are you, sir?
Great, good. Okay, so let's wait for 1 more minute so that a little bit more people join us and then we will start. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Any question if you have any from the last lecture?
No, Professor. I understood the concepts.
Okay, great. So let me just share my screen with you. Let me pull your page first actually. Okay, what is this? Do you want to have this? This is there. Let me pull my page. Okay, let me have that student in first of all. Okay. Let me share my screen. Just give me a minute, please.
Yeah, Professor.
Okay. 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 So this is object oriented. Yes. Okay. Hello, everybody. Once again, how are you guys doing today? Good.
Good,
You
Professor.
mentioned good to have you back. So let me share my screen. Share screen. Okay. So this was the code we were working in our last lecture, right? Can you see this thing? So please sit comfortable in my class. If you think that something is wrong, font size is smaller, you cannot quite see it, I'm going fast, I'm going slow, whatever it is, just let me know, right? Don't feel hesitant, right? So I have so many of you who had been in my classes before, and you know this thing that I'm very much open about such things. So So please feel comfortable in my class. And the only thing I want from you is to learn, right? And learn as much as you can and ask as many questions as you want. Because if you not ask questions, I will ask questions, right? So once you are asked questions, you would be graded on the questions you are asking me. And once I will ask questions, you would be graded on the questions I'm asking you, right? So, so ask questions and so that I can even today, for example, Menthan asked me a couple of good questions and I graded him for those questions, right, Menthan? So I even did not ask him a question, right? So if you will not ask questions, I will ask questions, right? And those might be a little bit difficult questions, right? So so just ask questions, okay? And wherever you have, and I'm not going to grade you just for any question, any good questions, definitely. Okay, so we were making this class user, and uh, in this class we made getters and setters, right? We made this array actually protected, and we made getters and setters. Now we can reach out to this array with the help of these getters and setters, right? And what is the purpose of getters and setters? To provide a controlled access to the class, right? To provide what? To provide a controlled access to the class, right? Now, for example, if we are setting the name, so name must be a string. And if somebody is not only we are validating that it is a string, We are also checking this thing that if there is some harmful code inside it, we can destroy that harmful code by the sanitization process. And moreover, we can use trim operation to remove any extra white spaces around it, right? And we, in the process, we also learned that yes, there is a pepper also, and we use pepper, right? Where is Mr. Raw?
Hello, sir.
Hey, thank you very much. We came to know that not only there is salt, there is a pepper also, and we use the pepper also, right?
Yes.
Great, good, good, very good, absolutely. Okay, so basically, and I would like to ask it again that have you got the concept of pepper? You
Yes,
know,
sir.
okay, great. So why not we use this concept of pepper over here in this uh, validate password. So this is validate set password, right? So this is the set password method, and it is going to have, so this is, we have already implemented it as a matter of fact, right? So for example, this is pepper. So if you want this this string to be present somewhere else, for example, maybe pepper, right? So let me go back to your folder. So the deal here is that once something is secret, we don't just move it around, right, in the code. We just don't let it rolling around the code, right? So we put it in a file, and that file we are not going to share with anybody, right? So for example, where is your code? Here it is, right? So I can come over here, and where is which project we are working on? PHP classes, right? And PHP classes, and here we create a new file, and we say that confidential.php, confi confidential.php, right? And in this confidential.php, for example, I am going to put pepper. Pepper is equal to, right? So any secret string would be pepper, right? So for example, I say happy birthday to me, right? Once people have secret strings, they are like weird like this, right? So, or maybe it has some special characters, right? Happy. So today is not my birthday, by the way. I'm just making it up, right? So happy 50th birthday to me, right? So basically, this is a string I have just made here. Save it, and I want to use it, right? So this is just pepper. Copy it, and we come back over here, and wherever it was, there it is. Okay, so this is set password, right? And set password, and we have validated it, we trim it, and then we add, right, pepper. So we get the value, we trim it, right, so that somebody is putting some extra spaces and then blaming us that we are not saving their password right. So we got this pepper over here, and then we are going to hash it, right? And hash is going to attach its own salt. So salt will come afterwards. So it is pepper and salt, right? Pepper will come first, and then comes the salt, right? So we have got this, right? And we have to tell this file that, hey, man, there is a pepper coming from somewhere else. So we come over here, we say, what should we say? Require once. What is the name of the file?
Confidential.
Confi confidential.php. Save it, right? And let's run it. So where are you? PHP classes, and which file we are working on, maybe index file, not PHP, right? Okay, there's a warning. What is the issue? Required once. Confident failed to open stream. No such file or directory. Maybe we messed up the spellings. So let's see. CONFIDENCIAL, right? CIAL. I get partitioning, US spellings issues always, right? So we come back here, reload it, right? And we are getting it back now. And the undefined variable pepper on line number 99, right? So it is, why is this saying that it is undefined, this variable? So the deal here is that we come over here. So where is this set password, right? This is set password. And here we are trying to use pepper, but pepper is not present in the scope of this function. So it is trying to find out that, pepper is there any pepper in this function? So there is no pepper in this function. So the deal here is that if pepper is an attribute to this class, maybe sitting here, maybe sitting here, or maybe sitting as an attribute, so we can refer it to as this, right? $this arrow, pepper. But it is coming in the global space, right? It is where it is sitting in the global space. So we come over here and we say, where is the password? Set password. And we come over here and we say global pepper, $pepper, sorry. Right? So now it is global. So now it will look into the global space and see that if pepper is there, it will get hold of it. So let's reload it. And there's no issue. Everything is working. Right? So basically confidential strings, and one thing we can do over here, definitely from a modular programming point of view, that we can come over here. Do we have git ignore file already made over here? So we can come over here and make a new file with the name .git ignore, right? And in this file, I would say that go to the folder PHP classes, right? Go to the folder PHP classes, and there we have a file with the name confidential. .php, ignore this file. Now, even if I will share this project over the internet with you guys, this file will not go anywhere. This will remain with me, right? Ankit Rao, you have a question, my dear?
No, sir.
Okay. Anybody else having question? Avinash, do you have a question? No, no question. Okay. So let's close this file and let's commit this code just to see this thing, that this git ignore thing is working, right? So we have this git ignore file over here, and this is saying that go to PHP classes. Is this the right folder? PHP classes, and there we have confidential.php. Ignore this file, right? Save it. And let's come over here and let's say cd space ... and we say cd object oriented design programming summer of 2020, right? And I say git add dot git
Commit.
yeah, very good. Git commit -m, right? And testing git ignore, right? And I say git push, and here it goes. I could have checked it in status also, but I did not. So basically it has sent it over the internet, right? I would invite someone to, fetch it and merge it and let me know if you have got confidential.php.
I'm sharing.
Hmm?
I'm sharing my screen.
Have you got it? Somebody wants to share their screen with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Very good. So you're a brave fellow. So yes, please go on.
Okay, this is my command prompt. So I'm
Yeah,
currently
get
working on my code branch. I have created
okay.
my separate branch. So I have
Are
made
you
some changes. So
okay?
before switching it to master branch, I'm just
Okay, right,
committing it.
right.
So git add dot
Okay,
git
and
status.
so okay. I could not quite get it. That what are you doing right now?
Before switching it to master branch, I'm just committing my update. I mean, I just changed my code in.
So have you got this confidential.php already there?
This is my working
Ah, you
branch.
made it yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, 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 okay. So, okay, so I'm not quite getting that. What is your current situation here? Have you pulled my code already or no?
Not yet, sir. I'm just.
Not
I mean,
yet, right?
yeah,
Okay, good. So show me git status.
yeah.
Okay, there are two things to commit, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so commit them. Okay, clear screen.
Okay, sir.
So git checkout master. Very good, right? No, no, git, sorry, git fetch origin space master,
Sorry, yeah.
right? And here, git merge now origin slash master, right? So go to your editor and see that have you got this confidential file?
No, sir, I didn't get.
You did not get, right? So basically we are preserving our confidential items like this, right? That they are not going to go anywhere like this. Moreover, sometimes we are working on framework, so we actually the scaffold files of the framework, we just put them in git ignore so that we don't send them over and over again over the internet, right? We just want to send our own code, right? Got it, guys? Ankit, this was mainly your question I was answering. If you have any issue with it, just let me know. Good.
Questions.
Okay, great. So please unshare your screen, and I'm happy that we demonstrated this thing. And let me share my screen. So share. Okay. So let me close this git ignore file and let me come over here. So it is running. Now, what are the issues over here? Let me show you the issues. So first issue is this, that number one, look, this username was not in the class, and it is being added dynamically into the class, and this is quite not fits with the principles of object oriented programming, that a class is like a template, right? So we are kind of intervening with the template. This is not very good. So this provides certain kind of flexibility in the code, but I don't like it here in this context at least. So I want to stop it. This is one thing. The other thing over here is that, look, the code is like little bit too much clumsy. We have to say user one get ID. Why not something like this? That dollar user one ID, just ID, not get ID or get last name, get first name, right? So I just want to say I want to write little bit cleaner code, right? I want to just say this thing. So right now, if I say something like this, it is an error. Why is it an error? Because there is nothing like an ID over there, right? And number two, if even if this is an ID, if reaching to the ID is kind of private or protected, so you cannot directly access it, right? So, but I want to have a cleaner context, number one, cleaner syntax, number one. Number two, I don't want to have these, things like this, extra attributes being added to the class, right? So we want to avoid these things, right? And answer to these issues lie in magic getters and magic setters, right? So magic getters and magic setters, right? So let us see that what is magic getter, and then we'll see that what is magic setter. Manthan, you have a question? Right? So we are talking about magic getter and magic setter, right? So feel as if you are sitting in the class and don't communicate outside the class, please. I will appreciate it, right? It will help you to understand better the stuff being covered. Okay. So I was saying, let me save it, right? I was saying that I want to have a cleaner syntax, number one, and number two, the second thing is I don't want to add extra attribution to the class, and to avoid these two things or to have these two features, I want to have magic getters and magic setters. So I come over here and I duplicate this this file. I say that, hey, duplicate, and this is index6.php. Let me close down index5.php. And now let me duplicate this user5, right? And I'm making two these files in pairs so that you can understand that which one goes with which one, right? So I come over here and duplicate it to user6.php, right? And let me close this 5.1. So index 6, user 6, and this is probably index 5. Okay. First thing I would like to do here is go to index 6 and now require once user 6, right? Right, guys? And let me run it just to see that everything is running good. So come back over here and I say I want to run index 6. Right, so it is running and working well, but I want to have that magic getter and magic setter, right? So let me show you how do we work with magic getter first, right? And we come over here in the class file. Let me remove this extra code, save it. And here at the top, after the constructor, I say that this is a function. This is a public function. And its name is __ get. So always remember that name starting with __ is kind of PHP reserved things, right? So they encourage you that you don't use __ because in future they may bring up, they may come up with some new __ function name, right? So they suggest that you don't do underscore. So __ get is a magic getter, right? So this is a magic getter, and now here I want to code it, right? I want to code it. So I come over here and I say, so what is this value? Let me give this value some suitable name. Maybe its name is attribute. Right, so this is an attribute. So basically with the help of magic getter, we want to get the value of this particular attribute, right? So once somebody wants to get the value of this particular attribute, what are we going to check? Yes. Yes, please think carefully, take your time, and tell me that once we want to get a particular, say for example, this attribute could be ID. This attribute value could have first name. This attribute value could be last name, right? It could be email, it could be password, right? So question here is that once we say get attribute, so what are we going to check first of all? Yes. Anybody?
We check if it is an integer or string.
No, so yeah, okay, at least you are talking, but think little bit more carefully that don't you, you know, wouldn't you like to check something else?
Like what attribute
The
user
public
have to
function.
say?
Look, we are going to get an attribute. So first thing we are going to check is
It is
that,
null or not.
say it again.
It is null or not.
Yeah, it is null or not. It should not be null because ultimately we are going to initialize them all, right? At the time of getting them should not be null, right? So question here is, probably I'm not, asking it very clearly. Let me rephrase it. Just give me a minute. So the question here is that once you are trying to get an attribute, right? All these attributes are present within this array, right? So say for example, somebody asks you, give me address, or somebody asks, give me ID, right?
Attribute dot id, attribute dot like.
So you are going to check that is this attribute present within this array or not, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
first thing you are going to check that whether this attribute is present within the array or not, right? So we are going to come over here and we'll say if, now I don't know exactly that what is the function, but let me give it a try. If in array. Yeah, I think this is the right function, right? Because it has turned turquoise, right? Which is a typical thing that telling that it is a built-in function. So look, it is also giving me help. So it is saying that in array is needle in a haystack. Means that first you will see that you will give that what you are trying to get. I want to get attribute. And then give that where do you want to see this thing. So this underscore attributes, right? So we will check this thing that is this particular attribute which you are trying to get is present in this array attributes. So if it is present in this array attributes, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Get attribute.
Return the attribute. Excellent. So you say return, right? Return dollar this sub underscore attributes sub attribute. Right? So you are going to return that particular attribute, right? And if this attribute is not there, what are you going to do?
Throw exception.
Huh?
Throw exception.
Throw exception. Very good. Excellent. So here we will say else throw exception. What would be the exception? Exception would be no such attribute, and then you can concatenate that attribute dot whatever the attribute was. right? So you'll throw the exception. So once you have got this magic getter, as a matter of fact, if you want, and you'll definitely want, you can get rid of all these get ID, get all these getters, right? So let me first test it and then I'll get rid of it, right? So get rid of them. So I have got this magic getter. Once I have got this magic getter, let me use this magic getter right over here. So I come over here. I have not made magic setter yet. I have only made magic getter, right? So I come over here. I say, instead of this thing over here, I say user1 ID, like this, right? Instead of that get ID, we'll say user1 ID, right? And once we say user1 ID, so magic getter will run and give us that ID, right? Once we are using magic getter, it will run and give us this ID, right? Similarly, we'll say, hey, user1, what is your first name? And then we can come over here, we say, hey, user1, what is your last name? Right? So basically, I can write it over here in this maybe a paragraph over here. Once we have got magic getter, we need not to call individual getters, right? We can simply access the attributes by their name, right? We can simply get these attributes by their name, right? So we need not to do this thing, right? Instead of this thing, we'll say just email, right? And similarly, we will get password, though we are going to get hash of the password by saying so. And similarly, okay, let's see what happens to this username, right? Let's see what happens to this username, right? Because username is not in that array, right? So it is going to throw an exception and cause an error which we have not caught yet, right? So we come over here, save it, and reload the page. Index6.php, reload it. So we have got this error, uncaught exception, no such attribute ID. Oh, okay. So there is something wrong. So there it is saying that there is no attribute ID, right? What is wrong? Oh, something is wrong in line number 34. So let's see. So we must have implemented something wrong here. So line number 34.
So in class.user.6 in PHP.
Oh,
Not
in
in this.
class. Okay. We go over there. So in line number 34, it is saying that no such attribute as ID, whereas ID is definitely an attribute. So we are implementing this thing needle in the haystack thing. So we say,
Sir, I guess in array function, uh, the parameter sequence is wrong. I guess these dot attributes come first.
I'm very sure that sequence is right. I'm pretty sure about it. So it is needle in the haystack, right?
We used a dollar symbol at this.
Oh, okay. I got it right. I got it. It's not in array. In array is a function which is going to check that, for example, ID is present in the values. Okay, so it is going to check, is it present within the values? So it is array, I think is array key exist. something like that. Exists. No. Is array. Let me see. Let me just Google it, right? So I
In
come
a
over here. So I say Google and PHP is array key exists, right? Something like this. So let's see what is the exact name of the function, right? So array key exists, right? So this is the function. Is, there is no is, only array key exists, right? So let me use this function instead. So array key exists. So we don't have to check. We don't have to check within the values. Rather, we have to check within the keys, right? That does it exist within the keys, right? So now it will work. It should work. So we come back over here. Where was our code? So here it is, and we reload it, and that error is gone. You can see this thing that they are being accessed, but still this username is setting, right? Why? Because we have not made our magic setter yet, right? So basically it is kind of looking into that thing directly and getting it. So let's see that how can we get rid of this issue by making magical setter. But before I go and make magical setter, I want to know this thing, that have you got this idea that how is this magic getter is working. And let me just remove these getters, individual getters, so I can remove this get ID. So don't worry, this is present in other version of this thing. If you want to get hold of it, I can get rid of this magic getter. I can get rid of this just getter, right? And I can get rid of this get email, and I can get rid of this get password. Save it, right? And I don't have these getters anymore. All I have over here for getter is this magic getter, and let me show you that it's working, right? So it is working. I don't have any getter, but this magic getter is working for us, right? And one good thing is that this is only one getter up there. The other good thing is that this getter is with this getter, we don't have to say get ID, get first name, get last name, right? And put function parents, right? We can just simply access the variables by their names, even when they are actually private, right? And how are we getting them? We are getting them with the help of magic getter. Got it, guys? Any question? Okay, great. Coming back over here. So once I have made this magic getter, let me make magic setter also. So I come over here, I say that this is a function and this is a public function, and similar to magic getter, we have magic setter. I would say underscore underscore set, right? And for set, definitely for set we are going to have a value, but we are going to have one more thing, and that is dollar attribute, right? Which attribute and which value you want to set it with, right? So basically this is now we are going to make a magic setter, right? So now I have a question for you. The question here is that in the presence of magic getter, we did not need to have have ordinary getters, right? That we have one getter which is doing it for all, right? Now question here is that in the presence of, what do you think, in the presence of magic setters, do we need to have individual setters?
yes, we need, because validation is different for all the attributes.
Excellent answer. I'm very happy, Manthan, that I have in my class, right? So basically, definitely the deal here is that since all the setters are working, on different kind of elements, right? So basically we need to have them over here, right? Because each one of them is going to work differently, right? So we cannot have that functionality in a magic setter like this, right? For magic getter, we could have done this thing because getter is just going to return, right? Nothing but return. So whereas setter is not going to do this thing, right? So we have to have this magic setter over here with the help of, it will work with the help of these individual set functions. So let's go ahead and make these set functions as protected, right? Instead of public, let's make them protected, right? So I say that this is protected, right? Let me copy this string and let me make this as protected. 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 And this is already protected, right? So all these setters are protected now. And once all of them are protected, this is our common convention that we start their name by an underscore, right? Just to tell that, hey, just to tell us, not the compiler, hey, these are protected, right? So they are protected. Okay, once they are protected, now we come over here, what should we do? So first thing we have to do is
Call the protected functions.
so again we have to check this thing, that whether the attribute which we are going to set, is this
valid or not.
huh?
First, we have to check valid. It is valid or not. Then
Yeah, first we have to check that whether this particular attribute is existing or not, right? Is this attribute existing or not, right? So this is something we are going to check, and for that we have this thing. So let's copy this thing, copy, and paste it over here. So we are saying that if array key exists, attribute, this attributes, right? So then don't return. Definitely this is a setter. We are not going to return anything from here. So we just say that, hey, do something, and otherwise we are going to throw this new exception, no such attribute exists, right? And we are going to mention the attribute name, right?
Sir,
Got it?
sir, once.
Yes.
What do you mean by validation? The attribute validation.
Validation, my dear, for example, if somebody tries to do this thing right over here, for example, user one arrow username. So we need to catch this guy. Hey man, there is no attribute with the name username. So we are going to check this thing, that whether username is one of our property or not. Is this one of our attribute? If it is an attribute, we are definitely going to give him a controlled access.
Yes, sir.
Right? But if it is not our property, then we are going to throw the exception that, hey man, this particular attribute is not even existing.
Well, yeah, you are asking the dollar attribute is one of the block of the attributes.
Okay, let me show you. Let me come back on my code, class code. So your question is
Dollar attribute is
dollar at look, very good question actually. So if I come over here, say for example, somebody is trying to do this thing, user one arrow username. So once they are going to call something like this, so what would happen, that this username is, so first of all, this magic setter is going to get invoked.
okay.
Right? Once somebody will try to set anything within that, within an object of that class, right? We have this class user, right? So if anybody tries to change or set the value of attribute of any attribute of an object of this particular class, what's going to happen? that this magic setter is going to get invoked, right?
Yes, sir.
Magic setter will invoke, right? And this magic setter will take this username as first argument and this value over here as second argument.
Okay.
Right? So basically, once this magic setter is going to be called, let me copy this so that we can compare it over here. Copy, and let me paste over here. Paste, right? So once we will make such a call, so what will happen? This function would be called.
Yes.
Right? This function would be called. This particular thing, username, is going to go and give value to this attribute, right?
Okay.
And this string over here is going to go and assign to this value. So once we have got this thing over here, we need to check this thing, that this thing which you want to set, which is username in this particular case, is this actually present within this array? Sorry, this array?
Yes.
If it is present within the array, then okay, then we'll move further. But if it is not even present within this array, then we are not going to set it, we are going to throw an exception.
Okay.
Have you got it, my dear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any discrepancy in the answer, any issue,
No problem.
anything
It's
which
good.
is not perfectly clear?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay, great, good. I'm thankful that
Thank
you asked for it, right? So we come over here, save it. So first thing we are going to check is that, is this attribute present within the array? If it is present within the array, then no such attribute, and we are going to tell the name of the attribute. If it is present within the array, then what are we going to do?
Call the protected function.
If to call each and every function, like set ID.
So we have to call
or
not
every
each
setter,
and every, we have to call for that particular setter. Right? We have to call for that particular setter, right? So for example, if somebody is trying to set ID, I am going to call this function. If somebody is trying to set first name, I am going to call this function. If somebody is trying to set the last name, I'm going to I'm going to call this function, right? Don't you think so? Hey, Ankit?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you sure you have got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I come over here and I say, let's make function name. I say dollar function name is equal to dollar, underscore set underscore dot dollar attribute. So what I have done intentionally, that whatever the name of the attribute is, we have that dollar underscore set underscore in front of it. So once I get the attribute and I put underscore set underscore in front of it, it is going to make the function name. Right?
Sure.
Hey, Dinesh.
Yes, sir, I got it.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask everybody. Anyway, anyone is missing this point? So Arun Teja, have you got this point?
Yes, sir.
This line number 41?
Yes, sir.
And Manthan, have you got it?
Yeah.
Ankit, have you got it?
Yes, sir.
Avinash, have you got it?
Yes, sir.
And Shri Yash Patel, have you got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, who is missing here? I'm not getting everybody in the screen yet. Let me expand my screen a little bit. Okay, now I can see probably everyone. So 6, 7, right? And Dinesh, you said you got it, yeah?
Yes.
So I have made this function name, And now I am going to make this function call, right? So let me come over here and let me make the function call. So I say function name dollar, function name sub dollar value. And then definitely, once I have the function name, since this is a member of a class, so I have to put this and arrow over here and dollar function. Right, so basically I am going to call for this function name with the help of this, and it is going to set. What is missing here?
Catch exception.
What is missing? Try catch. Very good. Excellent. Who said this? Mental. Very good. Right? We have to have try catch because these functions are throwing exceptions, right? So we need to catch those exceptions. So we say try catch. And I need to put this particular line in the try block. And let me remove white spaces. And once I have it, I come over here and I get this exception and further relate, I say throw whatever you got, right? Because we are not going to resolve it over here. We are going to resolve it on the front end, where it is actually consumed, right? So we have got this magic setter now, right? What have we got? We have got this magic setter now. And this magic setter works in conjunction with these setters, right? So we cannot get rid of these setters, right? So note this thing. Let me put it over here. So we write here, once we get the magic setter, okay. And once we get the magic setter, we can set the attributes by their names. And we need not to call the individual setters, but magic setter works in conjunction with the individual setters. Right, guys? Any question? Okay, great. So once we have done so, let's test it now, right? So now it should throw an error, right? So let's reload it, and we have this error. So uncaught error, call to undefined method user set ID. Oh, okay. So we are still using set ID in this over here. Where are we using it? So here, we need not to use set. Okay, where are we using set ID, by the way? Are we using set ID somewhere? Let's see. Where is the error? So uncaught error, call to undefined method set. Okay, one thing is that this is coming from line number 19 on user 6, right? And this is the issue that we did not put underscore over there, right? We are right over here. So this is not set ID, this is underscore set ID now, right? And here also this is underscore set first name, And similarly, this is underscore set last name, and this is underscore set email, and this is underscore set password, right? Save it. So once we have done so, right, once we have done so, let us reload the page. Okay, that error is gone, and but now here we have another error, uncaught error. Call to undefined method set email. So set email, and basically it is where it is index 6 on line 8, right? So if we come over here, index 6, line 8, you can see that we are calling for set email. One thing is that this method is no more existing. This is existing, but it is still an error. Why is it an error?
Now is
Why
protected.
it is not protected, right? So we cannot use this. Then the third thing is that now we can use it like this, that $user1 email is equal to, and here we can give just email address, right? So clean syntax, cleaner syntax, right? So basically we need not to use the word set anymore, right? So we can have this cleaner syntax, save it, and let's come back over here, reload. This error would be gone, and this is another error, and this is saying, what does it say? It is saying that index 6, line number 14, so set username. So now it has got the right thing, that hey, username is not present in the list of attributes, right? So we cannot set it. Now we have made the process of encapsulation tighter, right? Nobody can just come and set an attribute for us which is not in the template of the file, right? So how to tackle this situation? We have to do what? Please tell me. We have to put it in somewhere here so that we can catch that exception. The issue is that we are doing something wrong here, and we are not putting that thing in, since we have not placed that thing in try catch block. So it is kind of uncaught exception, right? And this is causing trouble. So we need to put it into try catch block. And once we put it into try catch block, now that issue has been resolved, and no such attribute username, this is the exception originated from the setter, magic setter. Ankit, have I lost you somewhere?
No, sir.
Okay. And now there is an error, uncaught exception, no such attribute username. So this is coming where we are trying to get it in this index6.php right over here. So how should we address it? So who is going to tell us? Let me ask. Avinash, would you like to tell us that this line number 43 is giving us error? What should we do?
Just a username.
So what should we do?
I think so. It's just a username, so do not set.
So what should we do?
Echo.
Arun, Teja, what should we do? What should we do about line number 43 so that it should not create a fatal error for us?
So may I see the browser ones, the error?
Yeah, absolutely. So here is the error.
Okay. There is no such attribute means we should create one attribute?
No, we don't want to create such attribute.
And we direct instantaneously we need to add?
No, we don't want to add. So this is something we implemented right now, that we want to have a stricter control, right? And we don't want to have these attributes created on the fly.
Yeah.
So how should we tackle this situation now?
I see the code once.
Yeah, sure.
It's saying line number 34, but we are seeing it 43.
Does it say line number 34? It is saying, okay.
PHP user 6.
So this is user 6 PHP on line number 34. User 6, line number 34. and it is coming from index6.php line number 43. So it is telling that first it was created on 43 line on this file, and then went to this file, and here it was originated from line number 34. So what should we do?
Put it in the try catch.
Yes, simple solution, that everything which you think throws exceptions, we must put those things into try catch block, right? So we have to do this thing, and we must come over here and we say try catch and cut it, paste it, and once we are going to have an exception, so here we'll say catch that exception and echo. What are we going to echo? $E arrow get message, right? So we are going to get message out of it, that what is the issue, right? So now this is no more an error, right? We are amicably handling the situation. We know that such situation can happen, and we are, we can make it a pop-up. We want to just display it in plain text, right? Whatever we want to do, we just want to throw it in, as a garbage. This is all up to us, right? But we are not surprising our customer by some broken code, right? This is the entire thing, right? So we come back over here, we reload it, right? Now that is gone, and this is defined behavior. Okay, then it is we will, where is that error has gone? No such attribute username, right? It is telling us, right? Got it?
Yes, sir.
Any questions so far? So we have got this magic getter, magic setter, right? And everything is working good. Say, for example, we are building a project, and say in this project, we are going to have some other classes. Say, for example, we can have a class with the name picture, right? Picture is going to have attribute like picture name, picture caption, picture file name, etc., right? There could be tons of different attributes, maybe loading time, maybe type, or whatever. So don't you think that there we need to have a magic setter also? And we need to have magic getter also. Okay, one more thing before I jump to that, keep on thinking about it. Let me modify this thing in one more way, right? Let me modify it in one more way. And that is that instead of getting all these attributes as individual attributes, let me do this thing. Let me, make this, reshape this constructor. And let me say that I am getting attributes, right? I am getting attributes, dollar attributes, right? And I'm getting these attributes as an array, right? For example, if I want to use this interface now, I need to provide these things not as this. So cut, I need to provide here an array, right? So here I need to have an array, right? And this array would be like this. ID arrow 20, first name arrow Frank, last name, actually this is double arrow, Louis, email is this. Password is this. Right? So we can get it like this.
In the above line, we have some extra text.
In the above line, okay, thank you very much. Who said this? Arun Teja, very good. Right? So we have got this, right? So we are sending it like this. Once we are sending it an array, we have to change this constructor a little bit, right? So can somebody help me to change this constructor? What should I say? So I will write for each. So for each attributes as key value pair, right? For each attribute as key value pair, I'm going to do what? I'm going to call for that particular setter. Or I can call underscore underscore set. Now I have to invoke it with $this underscore underscore set key and value. Right? Smarter code. Right? So it is going to run for each attributes, which is an array, and it is going to take every array element as key value pair. And for every key value pair, I am calling this magic setter, right? That, hey, set it up. Are you guys getting it?
Yes, Professor.
Right, so save it, let's save it and let's run it and see that everything is running good, because not always what we think, happens right. So no such attribute username, no such attribute username. It is because you are trying to set the username and it is not being, otherwise it's working perfectly all right. Now let me come to that point which I was discussing previously, that so now the code is smarter, constructor is smarter, right? You can see that constructor is very smart, and this is cute constructor, right? And we have this, smart code. I'm sorry, where everything is good. Now I was saying that, say for example, we have another class, say file name, right? Or say class picture, a media item, right? If we have such class, we have to make such constructor over there again. We have to make this getter, we have to make this setter. And beauty of these things is what? Look, this function, if you look at it carefully, it does not depend on this thing that what is present in this array. Does it?
No, Professor.
Right? So basically, whatever is there in this array, if for example you say, I need to have another attribute over here, for example, age. Right? The point here is that you need not to change this constructor. You need not to change this getter, magic getter. You need not to change this magic setter. Definitely you need to have set age thing over there, right? There's set age setter by itself, right? But you need not to change this constructor this magic getter or this magic setter. They will work amicable. So don't you think that we need to put them in a separate place from where we can give them to maybe user class, maybe to a picture class, or maybe to a subject class, or maybe to an integer class? What do you think?
As a MVC?
MVC is a different idea. I'm not coming to that point yet, right? So this is the idea of inheritance actually. That we have some common things which we can put at one place and we can inherit from that common class to all these different classes. Right? Hello, everybody.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Professor.
Are you getting me? So once again, let me have a sip of water. Look, this code we have generated over here, right? This code we have generated over here. This code will work for any class, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Right? So this is going to work for any class. It is independent of all these items present over here. It is independent of them, right? So basically, since it is independent, and you can see this thing that this getter, it is independent of any of the attribute names. And no matter how many they are, this setter is independent of their names. And no matter how many they are. So why don't we put this code at a place where other classes can also use it, instead of writing this code into those classes, explicitly. Right? So once you have some common code which you want other classes to share, so this is the basic idea of inheritance. Are you quite getting me?
Yes.
Right? So we come over here. Let me duplicate them. We come over here, we say that let's duplicate it. So duplicate. Let's say its name is user7.php. And then we say that we have another index 7 also. So let me duplicate this. Duplicate index7.php. Let me remove 6 out of my way. Where is 6? Yeah, this is another 6, right? So these are 7. Let me open 7 just to see that everything is working. Right, so everything is working. Let me come over here and let me make a class over here, another class. I say that PHP classes, and here new file, and let me name it class. And this is convention that we start the name of a file by having a class with the name, with the word class, setter. Let me name the class setter class, right? Because I'm going to house some setters over there, right? So I say class.setter.php, and I say that it has a class, PHP tag, and I say that this is a class. So this is a class, and what we do is that let me just remove it for now. Let me just cut it rather, and let me name it setter class, right? Let me name it setter class, right? And let me do this thing that, where is my, okay, let me rename it 7, right? Rename as class.setter 7, right? Because I need to make it sure that you are seeing 6 files together, 5 files together, and now 7 files together, right? So setter, and let me do this thing, save it. Let me do this thing, let me remove this from here, right? And where is my class 7 dot class dot user 7, and I come over here and I remove this constructor, this get method, this set method, all of them, right? I remove them all from here and put them right over here. They are gone from the class, right? So I just, I just cut the this constructor, right, which was very generic constructor, this getter, magic getter, this magic setter. I have removed them from the class user7.php, right? And I have placed them over there. Now, how is this class going to work? If we try to, run this code, now this is a broken code. So did I save it? Set ID. So
We are running index.
we are running wrong code actually.
Yeah.
So if we go to 7, we need to include 7 here. Now it would be a broken code. So we were running wrong version, and this is definitely a broken code. So how to mend it? So here we come and we say that, hey, wait a minute, there's user class. Where is the user class? This is the user class. This user class is going to inherit from the setter class, right? So we come over here and we say extends what class?
Setter.
Setter, right? We are going to have a class setter, and now we need to tell this thing that from where we are going to get it. So require once class dot setter dot php.
7.
I think it's setter 7.
Oh yeah,
Class dot setter.
yeah, setter 7. You're right. File name is class dot setter 7 dot php. Once we say this thing, now it should work. We come over here, reload it, and it has started working. So why it is working? Because once we say that this particular user class is going to extend setter, so whatever the code is present in the setter class, it is being copied into the user class, right? And so that is the reason that it is working now. And we can use that code with so many other classes now. So object-oriented programming means that we need to have modularity of code. And one basic principle is that code should not have repetition. Right? Why code should not have repetition? Because if your code has repetition, if you made one change over here, that change might not be reflected over here, right? And you are running two different versions of the same or similar thing and getting different experience, maybe getting error in one part and no error in the other part, or maybe getting two different kinds of errors in both of the parts, etc. And this would be a pain in the neck. Now, one more thing over here. Do you think that we are going to have a user in our code? Yes.
Yes,
right?
sir,
So
because
there would be users. But what do you think about setter? Do you think that sometimes in the code we are going to have a setter? Maybe a user with the name setter or something like that. So there is not going to be a setter, right? So basically, if we have a class just for structural reasons, that we are having this class just to put common code over there, right? So we need not to make it a concrete class. We must rather say that, hey, this class is an abstract class. So we say abstract class setter. So once we say that this class is an abstract class, now we would not see an instance of this class. So this is here just to provide a common source of code, right? So we have got a setter class over here.
Means we can't create object using class setter, no, Professor?
Say it again.
Abstract class in the sense we can't create object for setter class?
Yeah, now we cannot have objects of setter class, yes.
Okay.
Right, and this is exactly we want, because setter is not any entity in our
Yes.
code,
Yes.
right? So this is not an abstract class. We come back over here and reload it, and it's working. And look, this thing that since these functions are public, so they are being used external to the class also, and actually it's children classes are also using it or will use it. One more thing over here. Look, for example, every class is going to have an ID, right? So this is my programming style. You can say that I will have ID for every class I will make, right? So what do you think? This function set ID, instead of over here, we can put it in the setter class. What do you think? Right? Because once I will make a class with the name picture, that is going to have an ID also. So why not we put this set ID function over here, right? Okay, so once it is over here, let me go over here and see what else can be refactored. So this is whatever I'm doing right now is known as refactoring of the code, right? What about first name?
No problem.
Yeah, first name is about user actually, right? So I don't think that first name should be removed from here. What about last name? No, I don't think that last name should be removed from here, right? What about set email? I think email should be here too. Password should be here too, right? Validate password should be here too, because this is special to this particular class, right? One thing over here though, and that one thing is that look at it carefully. For example, this code part over here is checking the validity of the string, right? And then sanitizing it. And this part of the code over here is again doing the same thing. Don't you think so?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So why don't we do this thing that we make this string validity function, right? We make this string validity function, maybe a protected function. So protected function, and let's name it underscore string validity, right? And this string validity is going to take a value, right? It's going to take a value, and it's going to take,
First name and the last name.
Maybe length also, right? Maybe length also, value and the length, because we are using length over here. So it is going to take value and length, and it is going to give us the filter string, right? So let me tell you that what I'm trying to do here. So I come over here and I say, let me copy this portion, copy, paste. So if is string value and string length, trim string length value is greater than 0, and this is less than or equal to $length, right? Then do what? Then, you just filter sanitize it and return it, right? You validate it and return it. Else, throw an exception. Invalid string, right? Throw an exception, invalid string, right? So I have made this function with the name string validity, right? So this string validity is a function now. And what I'm going to do over here is that I'm going to remove this if else over here, and I'm going to say try catch, right? Try catch, and string validity, and definitely I have to put $this, right? And for length, I'm going to give it maybe 1024. Let's have like 5 characters for now. Let's see if exception creates, is created. And once we get this thing, we are going to do what? We are going to set the first name. And once we get an error, so we can throw a new exception. So that is going to give us invalid string. So we'll say $E get message, whatever the message you get from there, concatenate it with a string, colon, first name. Right, so it will send invalid string. We will get that invalid string over here and then concatenate it with first name, that this invalid string is the first name, and relay that message back. Are you getting me? So I have made this generic function. So let me do this thing. Let me copy this function from here, and let me put it in the last name also. The only change I have to make over here is to make it like last name. right? And maybe this one also last name, right? And it is good. And one more thing I can do is that I can just cut this function from here, right? I can cut this function from here and I can put into the setter class. Right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Now I invite you that you make one of your own classes. Then you will get hold of all these ideas. So for example, I am writing this code in front of you with no issues, right? I'm writing it fluently because I code like 6-7 hours every day, right? So basically, once you want to become a developer, you must work 6-7 hours every day on coding, right? So we save it, let's run it and see that if it is working. Yes, it is working. Right? It rarely happens that you have, dissected the code and it's still working. Okay, any questions so far? So let me send this code to you right away. This is a very beautiful method to send you the code. So I will say git add dot git commit -m working on classes did inheritance, right? And git push. Here it goes. Right? So do you have a question?
No,
So
sir.
if you don't have any question, let me stop my recording here.